so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. A few days ago, President Bola Tinubu signed into law the Southwest and South-South Development Commission bills into law. And these will bring to about 4 or 5 now of the development commissions in the country. We've seen the NDDC. We're now seeing some regional agencies that are targeted or created with the intentions of dealing with developmental infrastructure and human capital development issues. But will these agencies or commissions be able to do the job or be effective in a manner or what they were intended to achieve? Tonight we'll be dissecting these issues, whether it's duplication of effort or just a duplication of the layers of governance, or what exactly could this mean for a nation that says cost of governance is high. Political data analyst Mr. Kolawole Johnson is live for us. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Johnson, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I think the only one that is left now is the North Central.
No, they have it now.
So now
it's in place. All right.
So we have 6 completed.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
So we have the regional development commissions.
Oh yes.
But in your own view, there are a lot of people who have criticized the layers upon layers of what has looked like multiplicity of agencies doing. What is the state government supposed to do? Isn't it supposed to be development? Now we are creating these development commissions. Is it duplicity? I mean, extra layer of governance, or what exactly? How would you describe it? Is it a good idea or bad one?
The states you mentioned, in a federal system that we run, you have the 3, you have the federal, the state, and the local government. So these are the units, the state and the local government are the unit that is making up the entire nation, the federal government. Would the development commission be another duplication that may not take us anywhere? I think I may disagree. I think, of course, when this government came in, I advocated on this program for a reform in our governance structure. And let me explain. When we got to the present republic in 1999, Nigeria's population was barely 120 million. In fact, less than 120 million, because by 2000, we got into about 123 million by the end of that year. And now the population is, projected to be over 100% of that, over 240 million. I don't think we can, we should still stay with the same approach if it's not getting us anywhere. And let's even take it backward. When Nigeria was running the regional government, one of the things that we saw was that each region, developed at their own pace, and we saw competition. And in those days, why do you think they brought that approach to, to run the government? Those people understood the spatial cultural difference, the peculiarity of each environment. If you remember, when they got here, they got to the north and they decided to administer via indirect rule. But in the south, direct rule. That was cultural intelligence, looking at the peculiarity of each environment. Now, the regional government also came to be, and you saw what happened in those days. So, even when we were doing that, Nigeria in 1960 was barely 45 million. By 1970 or 1967 when we abolished that, we'd gone above, I think, yeah, we had gone above we were about 52 million or thereabout, because by 1917 the population was about 57 million. So if you look at it, when we were, fewer, we were doing this deliberately to drive development. But population now, has increased, yet we're trying to run a country as big, as diverse as Nigeria as a single entity. So for me, I think this is one of those reform in the structure of governance that I'm expecting, to run the government. People have advocated for restructuring. This is that, coming in a different model entirely. For me, I think it's a good approach.
So you think that is a good way to go?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But you don't think that it's going to cost us extra to be able to run these in terms of cost of governance? No. We're talking about pruning the number of those who are in government, but we are creating more.
Okay. On this program, if you remember, we were pummeling the government for expanding the ministries. And we gave an example of the Ministry of Youth and Sport that was together. Of course, only they used to have a single minister, but later you have three: the Minister of Sport, the Minister of Youth, and State for Youth, and all that. So I think what we should address is the bogus ministry, not direct policy that are meant to drive development. I'll give you some few examples. Let's go back to the regions in those days. Take, for example, the Western region. Look at the kind of development that took place then. The Liberty Stadium, the fourth stadium built there, not just in Nigeria, in Africa. The present Nigerian Television Authority was then the Western Television, now NTA. It was the very first, not just in Nigeria, yes, also in Africa. The Cocoa House, of course, in Sub-Sahara, then Africa, was the tallest, built by, proceeds from, yes. Yeah. And then, as at that time, the FG had not done, up to 20, scholarship to university students. The Western region did about 200 in a single year. Of course, when they introduced that. Now, that same region introduced at that time free education up to age 18, free health also up to age 18. Now, look at all of those development happening then in the region. So for me, I think if people can own their development, it is part of their approach to modern development. When people can own their development. Take, for example, the Southeast Development Commission will be populated by Southeasterners. Now, you can hold them responsible. They can, of course, it is always difficult for a person to sit in Abuja and know what will work in your village, in my village. But when you have development commissions in place... So
they can localize development.
Exactly.
Or regionalize development.
It is as good as localizing development, because they sit down, they look at the needs assessment, and they direct development towards those areas. Now, what I only frown against in those bills is the fact that, for example, you're having a Northeast Development Commission or the South, and you're saying that other regions should have representative. What for? You already have the FG, they have the ministers, So I think we should look at those gray areas. But
and this was a template from the NDDC.
See, they just copy and pasted. It is laziness on the part of the drafters. They just copy and pasted this without looking at the peculiarities of each environment.
Because why would you? Okay, well, again, looking at it, Nigeria operates a federal system. Yeah. And if you are creating that, you are literally you have divided the country. There are those who will debate in that sense that, look, let the Igbos run the Igbos affairs. Let the Yoruba run the Yoruba affair. Let the Hausa run the Hausa affair. Okay. Without having the input from across the country. No. Maybe there are those who will debate on that note.
For every policy you see, when issues are not handled in good time and you allow them to dovetail into crisis, there is practically no solution you bring on board that will be waterproof, that won't have some holes. Of course, these can be different. Nigeria is begging for development. You see our deficit in infrastructure. The competitiveness report of the World Bank shows that, I think rank Nigeria as number 130 out of 140 economy. You can't stay at that. You need to drive development. As a matter of fact, we are only covering about 30% of our infrastructural space. As at 1960, when we were driving the government through the regional approach. Now, the urban population of that 45 million number was only about 16%. Yet we're driving the government via the regional approach. Now, the urban population as we speak now is over 70%, based on our own peculiarity. I think we should drive development differently.
I see that South-South and North-Central have been created. Yes. I'm imagining if the South-South Development Commission is created, what's the place of the NDDC, for example?
No, see, we have clarified this. NDDC is not a regional development commission in that regard. No. Now, due to the activities, see, it's like in Lagos, for example, what is Lagos contributing? Tax, Southeast, trade, largely. Agriculture. Now, when you bring agricultural produce, of course, you pay tax there. Take, for example, the VAT, the VAT noise. Now, if some products are consumed here, it is expected that a part of that should go back to that same place. And the new tax bill, it's even, looking at 50% for them. Now, in the Niger Delta, the activities of the oil-producing companies have rendered the people practically jobless. The waters are polluted, there's environmental degradation, there is health hazards due to gas flaring and all that. So what you're giving back is, how do we now ensure that these people, that the entire, what the activity that is giving the entire country of food, that is giving us income. Now, since it has disrupted their own internal activity, what can we give back to them to ensure that these people do not take into crime, to ensure that those who have taken out of their fishing, businesses are able to have something to survive on? So that is the essence of the NDDC. Then two, you understand that because of these activities also, there are different effects on the environment, ecological and all that. So what NDDC is meant to do is to, cover that gap, and not a regional development per se. I tell you, you have within the NDDC, you have Ondo, for example, as part of, as a member, state. You have Imo, you have Abia. Now that you have Southeast Development Commission and, Abia, Imo, part of that. Now, Abia, Imo, they are also part of the NDDC. Are you saying that they will take part of Southeast Development Commission and also take part of the NDDC? If we think NDDC is only for the South-South? No, it is not. It is for the oil-producing community. It is not for the region per se.
Let's quickly move. Now that we have South-South and North-Central now covered, that's a good way to start, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
And if you look at what has happened, that FG has created all of these development commission for all of the regions.
Yes.
What difference do you think should be expected that this will make?
See, I'm expecting the president to sit them down and put his ideas into them. That this is what I want you guys to go achieve. It shouldn't be business as usual. See, I did my in Southwold. I did my own dissertation on a very interesting topic. I chose it: the factors that are impeding the delivery of governance in Nigeria. I used my own country, as my own case study, and three factors were identified: one, corruption; two, weak institution; and three, poor project management practices. And I tell you, if you can create this, a strong institution, and you are able to, man them with noble people, you are likely to have good project management practices. Now, let me give you an example. The same INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission of Jega, is the same INEC of the man there now. Is the same INEC of Maurice Iwo. What is different? It is the people that you put there. So I'll be expecting the president to ensure that this is not another, place to create money for the boys. It should be a place that he has chosen to drive development.
How do you then ensure that corruption does not kill?
Put internal mechanism
people
in place.
think that this is a national cake and it's our turn to go and...
Now, when a person is appointed into government in Nigeria, he kills cows, he's celebrating. What do you think he's celebrating? People gather and they party and all of that. It is largely, this person has been given access to national cake. But I think the president can decide to do this differently. For example, I'm looking at a Southeast Development Commission that will be driving industrialization, driving things differently in that place. Those who populate the trade industry in Nigeria, they are from the Southeast. Recently,
very industrial people.
Oh, of course, very industrious people. Now, recently, I think there was a presidential stuff that was done last year, June, on import duty waiver for some product, pharmaceutical especially. What stops the Southeast Development Commission from looking inward and see how they can take advantage, of that to create, clusters?
But you mentioned this, and I would like us to look briefly into some of the functions and some of the areas in some of the acts and the enabling laws.
Okay.
And I'm imagining maybe there could be an agenda that the presidency can set for the different development commission.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we can say, Southwest?
Yes.
Can you focus on this area? Southeast, can you focus on this area? Northeast, can you focus on this area? South, can you focus on this area? And at the end of 5-10 years, you would have come out to discover that there is a particular advantage that is Southeast, or there is an exportable product or value that the Southeast, the South can give to the rest of the world, not even only to Nigeria. Is it possible? Can we look at it that way?
Now, we can look at it that way, clearly, but I do not believe in running governance with comparative, advantage approach. I still believe in both comparative and competitive, approach to governance, where Southwest can, look at what are we good at? What do we have? What can,
what can stand us out?
Yes.
What can
stand us out
as a catalyst
of course,
to propel development?
Exactly, and look into that. But that doesn't mean that if that same, template, if that same environment is ripe also in, say, South, that they can do the same. Take, for example, in the Southwest, Ondo State, Ondo State has a coastline running over 100 kilometers with a natural depth of about, 15 meters deep. And look at that place. If the Southwest Development Commission, for example, decided to invest in that place to build a port. Now, Ondo has some, offshore oil fields. That place would not just serve the logistics for the oil, but can also serve as a port. And all the contiguous fields that is being served by Lagos and One, they'll be closer to Ondo. Imagine the kind of development that can, that can drive. That won't stop the Southeast also to look at driving the same, the same agenda if they have the environment for that.
Let me ask you. And touching on that, right? So you go to France.
Okay.
You look at the major, some of the biggest global fashion brands.
Yeah.
They're from France.
Yeah.
Why do you attribute it? Why do you mention Italian leathers when you are talking about shoes?
Okay.
They will market and say, "Oh, Mr. Johnson, is an Italian leather."
Yeah.
Because of the superiority.
Yeah.
And they tell you, they advertise all of these fashion brands to you in France, and the more the money goes to France, But the big question I'm asking here is that the very good leather in Kano, the very good Adire in Ogun State, my very good people in Ilorin who weave Ashoke, we are one of the best, and even my village, we are very known to produce okra. Do you believe that my village is known to produce okra?
Awesome.
Is it possible that at the end of the day, the world knows us for specific, tangible values?
See, Nigeria our diversity is what we can explore in this direction. You talk about what we can get from Kano, what we can get from your village, and the market is there. See, when the president is going out to say, come and invest in Nigeria, what is he saying? Largely, what do we have to sell? We have the market right here. And what is killing our economy? We don't have currency problem. It's the economy, it is the production problem. If we're able to produce, relying on on our comparative advantage, each area can look at what do we have that we can do right now. In those days, my village, rubber plantation, was there. We have this in different places. Take, for example, we were talking about producing pencil. How many years back? Are we doing that now? Now we talk about toothpick. How many years back? And what do you need to produce, toothpick? Bamboos. You have them in the Southwest. So for me, I think before the world, before we go to the world doing us, let's even be able to know that, this product is from Kano, it is leather, this is good. In those days, you can't wear a bashu now, of course, as a big boy in quote. Today, you can wear a bashu. In fact, you go to some market, Aba made product are even even much more expensive than the so-called designers that you bring into the country. Now, I've been in a place where a boss of mine was buying shoe in thousands of dollars. I look at him, you know, of course, there was no way I could afford that. But if you come to some places in Nigeria, you will buy products that is, if not better, as good as that. So I'm saying that what you said, it's good. We can look at our comparative advantage
and there's
drive
always,
development.
Mr. Johnson, there is already a template. Go to China.
Yes.
And I'll give you an example.
Yes.
If you go to the Guangdong province, it's the industrial powerhouse of China. Go to Jiangsu province. It's a hub for high-tech manufacturing. Go to Xinjiang province. It's a center for private enterprises. Go to the Shandong province. It's the heavy industry base. Shanghai province is a global financial and industry hub. Different hubs can be created using this development commission and say, we give you 3 years.
You get it.
Let us develop and let us start producing.
A matching order.
Don't Mr. Obi's from consumption to production.
Honestly, he can say, okay, Southeast, drive this. I just told you about they can go into pharmaceutical product and produce that. Today, you don't need 20 years again to develop a drug. In those days, it was, it was so. But now things are different. You can move. I think it is now simplified. Test tube is there to drive a lot of things now. And, the process, I think from in silico today to in vitro to in vivo can take a very short time. You don't need again. Today there are tubes that you can test the toxicity of any plant substance there without time. Time is always an enemy. We're totally out of time. We needed to even analyze each of these laws, but unfortunately we cannot. But sincerely, I want to support this with all of my heart, and I think we should all also be on the side to ensure we hold them accountable. Let the president not create another political economy or a place for the boys to eat. When the lithium production in some part of the northern state, like Nasarawa, for example, why can't we ensure that we shut down some kind of importation and make sure that we let North Central Development Why can't we make Adire Ashoke officially the kind of material and whatever? Niger State is kickstarting something for North Central, budgeting over 460 billion naira for agricultural drive. That's massive. If North Central Development Commission can drive agriculture, and what you just said, we'll be fine as a country. Hello, Johnson, political and policy and data analyst. Thanks so much indeed for an inspiring conversation. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.